Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm here today with a book I've wanted to bring to you for a while. It's a little bit different than my normal books. This is by Seton Press in Front Royal, Virginia. I'm going to give you their phone number right away, and I'll include it in the description below. That is 540-636-9990. And I'll try and find if there's other ways online and all to order this. It's a very important book for a lot of people. And you're thinking, wait, I've never even heard of Seton Press. It is a homeschool program. It's a complete package homeschool program kind of thing. And this is one of their books. Now, other homeschool programs actually use this book because it's so excellent. And you're thinking, I'm not a homeschooler. Like, I'm an adult. Why do I? Every Catholic kind of needs this book. So following Christ in the world, what's it about? Let me do just a little bit of an overview on the formatting and get into it. Let's see here. We have Following Christ in the World is written by Anne W. Carroll. She's the founder of Seton School. Her husband is the founder of Christendom College in Front Royal, Virginia. This was actually published with ecclesiastical permission by the Diocese of Arlington in August 14th, 1995. Is it still a worthwhile book to read? Yes. I'm trying to make that really clear. It does say note from the publisher that Canon 827 of the Code of Canon Law stipulates that certain books need the approval of the competent ecclesiastical authority before they may be published or used as textbooks in religious instruction. Canon law does not stipulate the manner in which the bishops grant needed permission approval, and the Diocese of Arlington has chosen to do so in the way expressed above. It's actually copyrighted in 2008. Oh, here's the website. It's www.setonhome.org, and I'll put that below. The book is dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. About the author, you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of using fancy cursive fonts because they make the books a little bit harder to read, but bear with me. This about the author and forward are actually very important before we get into here. See, about the author, Dr. Ann Carroll is the founder and director of Seton School in Manassas, Virginia, where more than 25 years, long more than that now, she's developed and taught an authentic Catholic curriculum for high school students. Dr. Carroll has written several high school textbooks from the Catholic perspective, such as Christ the King, Lord of History, Christ in the Americas, Catholic World Culture, and Following Christ in the World. If you've been homeschooling, you've heard of some of these books already. Dr. Carroll was awarded an honorary doctorate in humanities from Notre Dame Pontifical Catechetical Institute. She's been a frequent speaker on teaching history from the Catholic perspective for homeschooling conventions. And with her husband, Dr. Warren Carroll, Dr. Ann Carroll helped in the founding of Christendom College in Front Royal, Virginia, and helped in the development of a college training program for teachers. The foreword to this book, this is why you need to read it. I hope you've stayed with me this long because this is such a valuable book. There's a reason. My son used this in high school, and there's a reason I then took this book on, and I am promoting it to you. The purpose of the text. Following Christ in the World is designed to provide solid knowledge to help and support the reader who wants to live and grow in the key expressions of the Catholic faith. With the right spirit, this text will help the reader evangelize more effectively. With the knowledge provided here, the reader will be able to tell others about the chief truths of the faith by showing the faith's logic, coherence, and beauty. The reader will be able to use effective apologetics by showing Catholic doctrine is reasonable and there is complete harmony between faith and reason. This text will help the reader form a more developed conscience and act on it daily living. The reader will be able to participate in society and practice works of mercy with a greater awareness of Catholic social principles of justice and charity. This text will help the reader appreciate better the different vocations in Christian life, which in turn will help the reader discern his personal vocation. The reader will be able to grow in the elements of Christian life that are needed for any vocation: virtue through prayer, reception of the sacraments, mortification, and greater understandings of the workings of grace. The audience for this text. This is also very important, friends. Following Christ in the world is not for those new to the teachings of the faith. The course assumes the reader already has had instruction of the fundamentals of Catholic doctrine. The emphasis is on a mature and adult understanding of these teachings and defending them against the attacks of the modern world and putting them into practice. And you may now be wondering, why then is it for a high school student? I believe this is used in the senior year of high school. If you look at either Mother of Divine Grace or Seton Academy, which both use these books, students by now will have a very solid understanding of the faith. They will have been reading the books by Father Lowe on the faith, especially in high school, and they will have a thorough grasp. They will be mature enough for this book. If you have not studied those books, this may not yet be for you. And maybe I'll go and grab some of those books off the shelf and do those then for you. A lot of us, Gen X, we were not given a solid foundation, and that's on others. But hey, Gen X, we're adults now. It's on us now. If we don't have that solid Catholic faith, that is on us now. We need to go get it. No more whining, friends. We need to just go get it. On the practice of the faith, it goes on and tells you how it's going to help you in your practice of faith as well. Let me turn the page. It's sticking here, sorry. Proper intellectual attitudes, the book goes on. Topics. So it lists out topics, themes, and lesson plans. You can see it is a textbook. It's going to do this. But if you could even do this as a Bible study in a church, for some of your more advanced parishioners that have a good foundation and maybe they need something a little bit more, you can use this as a textbook. The table of contents is set up pretty nice, except, it has the lovely ... but I think it's a bit extreme in it. You're still going to have to get I don't even have a full-length piece of paper. Maybe you could even use, if your cell phone's pretty big, you could use your cell phone to help you with your ... They go over pretty far. This could have been indented, might have been a better choice here. So what are those topics? Chapter 1 is philosophy, theology's handmaid. And that's why I'm giving this to you. A lot of us don't have a history of philosophy or metaphysics, and you're going to get some of that in here. And that's really going to help you. If you've been stumbling in your study of theology and you don't have this could be why. This could be the missing piece. And that's why I want to recommend that to you. Do these things make sense to you? This is going to tell you whether you need this book or not. If these don't make sense to you, you may be needing this book. The Principle of Non-Contradiction, Becoming and Being, a philosophical vocabulary. Do you know what substance and accident actually are, or do you just repeat those words when you're teaching catechism and the sacraments? Act and potency, the four causes. Truth exists. Do you know how to refute subjectivism? Chapter 2 is called He Who Is, Two Ways to Exist. The existence of God, the necessary being, the attributes of God. Our duties lead to God, and a conclusion. Chapter 2 is on immorality and freedom. 3, immorality and freedom. 4 is before Abraham was. 5, the one true church, which includes, did Christ found a church? Seeking to belong to the church. Marks of the true church. Objections to the one true church. A brief history of the church. Chapter 6 is Upon This Rock, which talks about the popes as a successor to Peter, the infallibility of the pope, and includes a conclusion. Chapter 7 is on a credo, the Blessed Trinity, the consequences of the doctrine of the Trinity, the incarnation, the redemption and resurrection, eschatology. I know my pages are sticking because the next thing says the purposes of marriage. Feel like I'm missing a page. Yep. Death, judgment, the beatific vision, the existence of hell, the existence of purgatory, indulgences, our Blessed Mother. It goes into right and wrong, the elements of a human act, moral absolutes, the principle of double effect, two guides, conscience. Church in the world has two errors about social justice: the church's right to speak, the church's primary mission. Vatican II on the church and social justice, the church's responsibility and conclusions. Chapter 10 is Justice in the Marketplace, and it's going to talk about a living wage, the responsibilities of employer and employee, the rights of labor, private property. Your mind should be blown if these are topics you've been curious about and have not found answers yet. Again, you need some solid foundation before you dive into this, but this could be a book that you're ready for now. I don't know. The next one is on dialectical materialism, theology of liberation, and the church's response to liberation theology. These are timely topics. I'll say it again. These are timely. If you feel that you are ready for this book, that you've gotten a solid foundation, you've been studying the Baltimore Catechism, the Catechism of the Council of Trent, maybe you've read some of Father Lowe's books, and you know that there are still more answers, and you're not quite getting it just by reading papal encyclicals, this could be what you need. It goes on. There are so many more here. So many more. It does talk about man and women, husband and wife. There are so many chapters. It's funny because it looks like it's such a small little book, and it's not. It's rich. It's succinct. How is it set up? Chapter 1, Philosophy, the Handmaid of Theology. You're going to see it's set up pretty clear. Oh, sorry. I always get in the way of the microphone there then. Can I put the book here? No. There we go. I don't want to put the book between me and the microphone, then you're not going to hear properly. You can see it's pretty easy to see where a chapter starts. Yes, they have fancy print. It's not the end of the world, I guess, but it would not be my choice. It's done in 2 columns. You can see the sections that were underneath. See how they're in bold. They're not huge sections. You can do this. We did tend to apparently highlight in the book. I didn't even remember doing that. We seem to have highlighted both people's names and words that were defined. There are some pieces of artwork in the book as well. Yours will probably come non-highlighted. I'm assuming it was used as a student studying. So yeah, those subheadings are actually pretty small. He who is, 2 ways to exist. See, they're in here. The necessary being. It's probably a Times New Roman 12, I'm going to guess. Pretty easy to read. The pages they're not pure white. They're a little bit off-tan. Wow, you can see my student really got into that section. Let's just pick one. I do love the full color artwork in here. Let's just look at chapter 8. I just picked one randomly. Right and wrong. Since man's eternal destiny depends on how well he conforms to the will of God, man needs the guidance of moral principles, basic ethical norms, to help him conform to God's will. We will therefore review and deepen our understanding of how to determine these moral principles. Elements of a human act. Every action must be judged from 3 points of view: the act itself, the intention, and the circumstances. Bam! We've been talking a lot, out there in social media land about the intentions when you commit an act. If those words were not making complete sense to you, they are formally defined. And so you may need to know what those formal definitions are. Every action must be judged from 3 points of view: the act itself, the intention, and the circumstances. Each must be moral for the action to be moral. If an act is in itself wrong, in parentheses, intrinsically evil, such as contraception or homosexuality, no good intention or extenuating circumstances can make the act moral. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Sorry, I did not pick this section on purpose. This is here. There's three points of view that must be determined for every action: the act itself, the intention, and the circumstances. Each must be moral for the action to be moral. If the act is in itself wrong, so this is our first one, we're looking at the act itself. If it's wrong, the other 2 don't matter. Okay? But a bad intention can make a good or neutral act immoral. So all 3 of them have to be moral. You see what I'm saying? If a person performs a charitable act for the purpose of getting publicity for himself, his bad intention has nullified his good act. Circumstances can also make a difference in morality. If your nosy neighbor asks you personal questions, you have a right to give a non-committal answer. But if your parent asks you, you have an obligation to tell the whole truth. If you mislead your parents, you have sinned, even though you might have said the same words to the neighbor without sin. The circumstances have made a difference. Which then, of course, leads us to the topic of moral absolutes. Relativists deny that anything is intrinsically evil. They claim there are no moral absolutes, moral principles which apply in all circumstances. Relativists deny that anything is always wrong. Rather, they say that everything depends on circumstances. They have developed a whole moral philosophy called situation ethics. All morality depends on the situation. Nothing is always right or always wrong. As we have seen, truth must exist. Therefore, there must be moral truth as well. There must be some actions which so violate man's nature or his relationship with God or with other men that they are always wrong. A type of moral relativism is consequentialism. That is, an act is judged solely by its consequences. In other words, the end justifies the means. Bam! You can see this is clear and concise. There's no extra frilly words. This is very easy to understand. Again, some of the chapters are going to have conclusions at the end as well, but not all of them do. What's at the end of the book? Let's see, after the chapters. Is there anything back here? It does end with talking about mental prayer, contemplative prayer, helps in prayer. Chapter 30 is our heavenly companions, pure spirits, the choirs of angels, the test of angels, our guardian angels, attuning ourselves to the angels at Fatima. And the book ends with give thanks to the Lord for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Amen. And then there's a little ad. Do you like our books? You may like Seton Home Studies School. I highly recommend this book. It is just exactly what I just said. It's just so clear and concise. And you've probably heard a lot of these terms in here bandied about and maybe not known the formal definition. If you did the Baltimore Catechism, the very early ones, you memorized things, but it didn't get into the definitions of the words. If you never got into the definitions of the word, but you have that strong foundation of knowing what they are, this may be the book for you. I've been wanting to get into this for a while. A lot of us say, I don't have a basics. I need like metaphysics for dummies or basics of metaphysics. This book is going to give you a lot. If you studied, again, the Baltimore Catechism, especially if you've then gone on to study Father Lowe's works, that is is it LAX or LAUX? I'm going to have to look that up. If you've studied his works, this book is going to be the crowning glory of that. That's what you're going to want to read next. May God bless you and keep you. May he make his light to shine upon you and to be gracious unto you. And may the good Lord bless you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Bye, friends.